ladies and gentlemen, we have the generous poet here today and all that too. So, the generous poet is an artist out of Beirut, Lebanon too, and he also grew up in Saudi Arabia, lived in Toronto for a bit too, and now he's currently living in BC right now. Correct?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah. So it is like
Out
pretty
here.
like it is like pretty like interesting too, like like just like seeing like these like areas and all that too, so it's like I know with life, it has like an interesting experience like growing up in like all these like ends and all that too, so seems like pretty like lit from there and all that,
Yeah, man, it's been an adventure for sure. By the way, I just want to mention before we move forward, the connection is a little iffy. I can't tell if it's like the quality of the audio or the connection.
like just from the audio or just from the internet,
It might
because
have
like
been the
right
internet
because like right now I'm like
because it's
in
better.
like I'm just like in like a certain area in my room where because like I have like fam and all that, so I'm just trying to make sure that
I feel
there's
that,
like
bro.
no yeah, yeah. Okay.
So
Well,
where
I'm
are
just
you
gonna
located at right now? You're Toronto?
Toronto, yeah, yeah, correct.
Hell yeah, man. The
Yeah,
base, home base.
home
Yeah, I
base
plan
for
on
sure.
going to Toronto. I don't plan on just like leaving it behind. You know what I mean? Still got family there with a house and friends, and so we'll be going back and forth quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. All right, so I'm just gonna get this started right here. So I'm just altering the ting and all that too, just to make sure that the people like see it too. So, all right, man. So you grew up in like Beirut and like Saudi Arabia, so Lebanon, Saudi Arabia. So like, what was that like growing up for you, as well as like the childhood? Would you say it was like dope, or would it be like a different experience?
Um, it was definitely a unique experience. Like I grew up in Saudi for 18 years, and I grew up in Lebanon for 5 years. There, I did university, and so I spent the majority of my life in the Middle East. Saudi was definitely unique because it was like a compound life. So there was a lot of social constructs that I wasn't used to. So when I moved to Lebanon, I was super culture shock, even though I live there and I'm from there and I'm Lebanese, but growing up in Saudi and then moving there to Lebanon was a big change. And then obviously the same thing when I moved to Canada, it was a big change. So it was a lot of change and moving.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean, man. Yeah, like I know there's like a lot of like interesting factors, like because I like around the '90s and 2000s. Because what I read is that you're actually born in like 1994, like on the Spotify thing too. So like the mid 90s, late '90s, early 2000s, like it was a kind of like a culture shock into like because like there's like the war going on and like other stuff going on like around those countries and like the start of like modernization around there too. So it is like interesting to see and all that. No.
Yeah, man. Especially with all like to get into the depth of that a little bit, Saudi was like super religious. So me and my friends would have like a lot of crazy experiences, like growing up with mutawas or religious police, and just like the whole life there is totally different. And then when we moved to Lebanon, it's more a little bit open minded, and obviously you have your religious sects there, and things are definitely for me. Lebanon was a lot more cutthroat because Saudis just you just abide by the laws. You should be good. Lebanon's just free for all. You don't know what the hell is going to happen. Anything could happen. So, but we got stuck there in 2006 for the war, and they bombed the airport. So we had to leave through Syria. Me and my family. I talk a lot. I talk a lot about that in my first album, Magnanimity. But growing up in the Middle East, man, was definitely like unique, and it shaped a lot of my perspective. It made me see things differently. So now when I live here in Canada, meeting people that were born and raised here, you can tell that the perspectives are obviously different. It's different for whoever, and you're a product of your environment at the end of the day. But it was hard for me to relate to people here. So on that note.
Yeah, man. As far as like the music goes, like were they big for music like growing up at the time, just as like industry areas or like industry countries, or was it more so like community at the time and all that? You know?
Yeah, it was just community based, man. Like at the time, there was no venues. I don't even think there's probably venues now. Like Saudi's a lot more open than it used to be. I heard there's bars and all kinds of shit now, but back in the day, it was just me and my homies. We couldn't smoke hash in someone's backyard, or we were kids, so excuse me. So we'd pretty much just like cruise around and on these long desert roads, because you'd be able to see like cops from a mile away, and then you just like spark up, and my friend would play instrumentals like back to back, and all we would do is just freestyle in the car, and then when we're at like house parties, we'd freestyle, and it was just kind of like a fun thing to do. We also did like these things called self disses, where we'd get in like a circle and like at a party and everyone's having a drink, and we'd all just like self diss each other, and it was just like it was something fun. We'd make fun of each other, but also you're showing off your like rhyming skills and your flow, and I kind of honed into that over the years because I've been doing that since I was 13. So, but it was always like a community thing, to answer your question.
Okay. And I mean, your family, like, they played like a pivotal part in all that too. So, like getting into the arts and like listening to like many genres too, because I think your dad was like an architect and all that too. Like, I think I read like on the website and he did like some art stuff. And then your mom like got you into hip hop at like a very young age and all that too. So, tell me more
Yeah.
about that and like that upbringing, like,
Yeah, man. My dad is also like a crazy artist in terms of design. He draws and makes his own designs, and I get a lot of my influence from him. And um, he also plays piano, like classical, and the guy's just he's a huge inspiration to me. And then like obviously he's an architect, so that has a lot of artistic um, input as well. And then on my mom's side, she was just like she grew up in Toronto, so she was more a little bit westernized and listened to like hip hop and R&B, and she loved Prince growing up. And even my dad would like on the other side would listen to like Elvis and Frank Sinatra. So I kind of have like a wide range of uh, of interest in genres because of them. And my mom, like, she really did get me at. She like my first my first like hip hop song my mom showed me was like "Drips" by Eminem, because it was like, as if you know that song, it is like as fucking dirty as it gets. But
yeah.
it was more of like the HIV awareness, and Jen, like my cousin was listening to it, and I just like walked into the room, and she was like, "No, you shouldn't." Like she didn't. She she liked the fact that, like, even though it's explicit content, if you explain it to a kid and educate them, it shouldn't be like detrimental for their health at a young age. Or maybe it is, because I turned out like this. So, but
Yeah.
no, all jokes aside, yeah, they did have like a big influence in everything. So
You said like Eminem like Drift or Drips from the Eminem show and all that too. Yeah, because I know like that song was like a very crazy song at that time too. Because I know I think Obi Trice talked a lot about like sex, like that type of stuff and all that too. So like it kind of had like a
yeah,
lot of like raw stuff. I know there was like Till I Collapse, like Nate Dogg too, which that was actually on I think the Modern Warfare 2 soundtrack and all that too, which
oh yeah,
kind of got like people to like tap in and all that too. And like I mean, you have like the Whip Out Me and all that too, like Cleaning Out My Closet, like that
yeah.
type of stuff too, like bangers on bangers and all that. So like I know like it has like a lot of like like more of a lyrical like style to it and all that. So
To be fair, like I walked in, my cousin was listening to Drips, and he was showing it to my mom, and that's when it happened. But my mom actually showed me Infinite. Infinite was the first like album I actually listened to in terms of hip hop, and then I started listening to like Jurassic 5 and Tribe, and like just all the oldies, the old school. And I love boom bap and conscious hip hop like Dead Prez, and like I used to get, or even like old school 50 Cent, you know. So
Yeah,
I used to love that. I still listen to that a lot. Like I've been listening to a lot of new modern shit, and hip hop nowadays is crazy. You know, just so many new projects coming out. You can't keep up.
yeah,
There's so much good shit coming out, and I'm finally proud of the genre because the past decade's just been garbage, run by
yeah.
you know who. We're not going to talk about that today, but so
Yeah, too. I mean, like, say no more, like, and all that too. I mean, Ghetto Quran by 50 Cent was like a very dope song. Like the mixtape era 50, like very dope. Get Rich or Die Trying, still like a classic. Massacre,
yeah.
still like doing its like thing and all that too. I think it kind of died off, like kind of like after Curtis too, like when he was like, doing more experimental stuff. But I mean, when you mentioned like Jurassic 5 too, like I've heard like some of their stuff too on Tony Hawk Underground 1, which I play like video games a lot too. So they use like a lot of like hip hop, punk, that type of stuff too.
Hell
So
yeah. Yeah.
pretty much the wave and all that too. Even moving to Canada, like what was that transition like, moving from like one country to another, and like just like adapting to like Western culture, like within the attitudes and much more and all that.
Yeah, it was definitely a culture shock coming here. Like I went to high school here for a year and then I went back to the Middle East for university and then 4 years or 5 years later I came back to Canada. And I thought it was gonna be an easier transition just because I'm like I've been here before, I lived here for a year, but it was just same thing as before. It was just another culture shock. And then I went to Montreal for 2 years. That's when I started really just like having fun with the hip hop. I'd go to like open mics and do ciphers and shit, and I'd that's where I met a lot of like producers and other artists, and we kind of just. But they were in university, and my buddy at the time lived in Brooklyn. Um, and then I went and did a single with him. That was one of my first singles that I did with him. But after Montreal, I spent like 2 years there, and then I came back to Toronto. Spent like 6 years there, and the journey for for like how I actually started doing hip hop was crazy because I've always been doing it, but I just decided let me pursue it publicly. You know what I mean? Like let me actually drop shit. Let me do shows. Let me pursue this on a more serious note. And I'm kind of grateful for Toronto in that sense because there was a lot of opportunities there.
Yeah, for sure, man. Because I know you said something like a lot about like numerous like music programs and all that too, like being in the open mic events too, and like ciphering and jamming and all that too. So like the programs, were they more like college based, like music programs too, or like more through connecting for like a lot of other people too? Because I know there was like the Remix Project. I know there was like Unity Charity. I know there's like a lot of like other stuff too and all that. So was that like kind of like the wave at the time, like being in the city?
Yeah, well, honestly, I was so separated from that, man. I never went to like like university in Toronto or so I have like a lot of friends that were from Ryerson and they kind of like you know, throughout the years were working together doing music and they got really tight and they'd start making bands and I'd go and support them and I was always like that odd guy out, you know, since I just came from the Middle East and I didn't really go to school here technically. So I felt like so almost like an outcast, but I have a lot of friends downtown and we made it work and yeah, man, like it was still like a big community effort, I would say. So even though I wasn't really part of any like groups per se, like university or college groups, I was still like with like a crew, if that makes sense,
Oh, for
or
sure
like a
too.
group of people. You know what I mean?
Okay. So as far as like the open mic events too, and like even like the ciphering and jamming, that was just through like a certain like source and all that, or like was that from just connecting like more so within the community?
In Montreal, there was a couple of jams that would happen like once every Tuesday night, and then there was also a McGill and Concordia artist jam, and I would kind of join in on that same situation. Like I wasn't even part of the college or university, but I'd just show up and start spitting and having fun with it. And I was doing my tongue twister verse, and that's when like I realized like, oh, I was actually impressing people, and what I had to bring to the table was something people actually were interested in. So I started pursuing it more. That kind of motivated me more, seeing people's reactions and like being in a room and no one knows who you are, and you just feel like tongue twister after a tongue, your sister, bitter taste, sense of censorship with no
True,
filter,
true.
Mr. Straight from the stomach up through the esophagus. And people were just like, "Oh shit!" And I was like, all right, this is good. This is good. Let me like put it into a song." And I wrote Menace. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
and then
And I,
open mics in Toronto were
and I,
much more aggressive. Like I hit like 10, 15 open mics in like a couple of months. And then when I felt like I messaged like every venue in Toronto, being like, "Hey man, I'm a new artist. Would you guys like give me a spot like sometime during the week?" And no one got back to me. The people that did get back to me, they're like, "Who the fuck are you? We give you any time?" And and then there was like a handful of them that were like, "Yeah, sure, show up and see how it works, but we're not gonna pay you. We'll just give you like 10% of the bar or something like that." You know, it wasn't anything crazy, and I was doing like 10 people shows, 15 people shows, and then I was grateful enough to have like my friends help me open up for them, and so then it started going to like 50 to 100 people shows, and then that's when I did the Cool Keith and then the tour with Blue and Exile.
okay, no, that's dope. And like that's when you started to get like the crowd like rocking too, like from these events too. Like you had like people like recognize you like in that sense and all that.
Yeah, man, like going to places and having like a group of friends that want to support you and you're supporting them in their music endeavors, and everyone's kind of like helping each other and supporting each other. I think that's the true sense of community, and um, it's like what motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing pretty much.
Yeah, for sure, man. So like for a lot of people that do want to like tap in and all that too, like what made you decide on like wanting to become like a rapper, an artist, like full time, like just taking it like seriously from there and all that.
Regret. That's like the number one thing it comes down to. I didn't want to look back in like 10 years, 15 years and be like, fuck, man, I wish I did something. I wish I actually pursued it, or I wish I did this. I wish I did that. Fuck it. I said, you know what? I know I'm going to get a lot of judgment. I know I'm going to get a lot of, you know, bullshit, and especially from like my culture or whatever. I said I want to do it, and I'm going to do it the way I want to do it and express myself the way I want to express myself. And after I've been doing this for now 2.5, 3 years, I think what my in terms of publicly releasing shit, what I have to say is just whatever, just keep doing what you want to do. And I realize I'm just doing it to express myself at the end of the day. You know, I enjoy doing it. It makes me feel good when I finish a project, and then if I can share that with other people and have that experience with other people, that's a plus for me, you know. So
Yeah, that's facts, man. And I mean, you stated like a lot of your influences like on your website, and like like it ranges from like a lot of things to avant-garde music to rap to rock to indie R&B, like much more too. And even the artists like that you were like tapped in with, and even like artists that you've like tried to connect in a sense, like like which artists like would you like to actually like work with someday too? Like I know you worked with like a lot of like more of like the people from like the local scene too, but are there people that you want to connect in like more on a much more like mainstream or like indie like level in that sense too, like on like working on songs and all that?
yeah, man, for sure. I'd love to work with both, like mainstream, underground, like anyone talented, anyone that has the same vision. You know, I've always wanted to work with like really dope producers. Nicholas Craven's one guy I've been keeping my eye on. Dude, this guy's just dropping hot fire every time, and I feel like they're underground enough to be it's like a realistic uh, partnership or collaboration that can happen. Same thing with Raz Fresco and Baker's Club in Toronto. Those guys are killing it, man. Grit Falls killing it. And yeah, man, just working with cool, like-minded people that do it for the love of the sport. And in terms of like mainstream, dude, I've been jamming to a lot of like West Coast pimp rap recently, and that's Larry June's fault. So I've been listening to like Larry June and
Since
Primo Rice and just a lot of West Coast, man. Even like old school shit, bumping some Nate Dogg. You know what I mean?
yeah, no.
Um, but yeah, man, I'd be down to work with even Lil Wayne, dude. Lil Wayne's fucking boss as hell. So
Yeah, fire. Nah, he's the goat. I do definitely see you work with like a lot of people, like Derringer and all that too, from the Griselda camp and all that. Rome
yeah, man.
Streets, Stove God Cooks and
Oh,
all that. Like,
oh yeah.
even the Toronto stuff too. Like, because like I actually got to know you from actually doesn't matter, it's okay, aka Kenny and all that too. Told me more like a lot about
Nice.
you, and like when I heard like some of your stuff too, like it did kind of remind me of like the mix between like the underground and like the indie rap and all that too. So like like
No,
Kirknight, Nick Caution, like that'll be sick. Chuck Strangers. If I could say like the Toronto stuff too, anyone from the Supreme Gene, like Record Team and all that, the AO Bigs, the Bassalinis and all that too. Like I do definitely see that collab. Like Ghost Boy RJ, Six Letter, like even JD Era would be a sick one as well too. So just like kind of like manifesting it from there and all that, So
yeah, man. It all starts local, anyways, right? So,
yeah,
but
and
yeah, Griselda, like even Rome Streets, killing it. I've been listening to a lot of Jay Worthy as well.
yeah.
Just yeah, they're killing it in the game right now.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Like, even the pimp rap too. Like, I don't know if you know, like, Sugar Free and all that too. Like, I think he
Yeah.
was like kind of like the whole like godfather of like the pimp era rap too. The Tone Locs, early Snoop days and all that too. When I think this is like on the like Last Meal, Dogfather like days and all that too. Paid the cost to be the boss and all that. Like, I think like his pimp style like kind of like honed in like from there and all that too. So yeah, man.
Yeah.
As far as like working with like a lot of like artists too, because you actually were known from like forming like alongside like Blue and Exile and like Cool Keith and all that too. So tell me more about that, like how that came about.
Oh man, dude, those were like amazing experiences. The Cool Keith show was like one of my favorite shows because it was a packed night, man. It was like 450 or something packed Lee's Palace, and what was special about it was that it was all like old school hip hop heads. So my style really thrived in that audience. Like I really felt the reciprocation from them. I felt like when I was spitting my bars, you'd see like head nods and oh shit, like there was some reactions, and it felt like there was a good communication with the crowd, good reactions, and just like an overall great night. Honestly, meeting Cool Keith was sick. The guy's genuinely cool as hell, man. Like he's just cool with it, and then Blue in Exile. That's what got me the opportunity to do Blue in Exile. I sold my tickets. We promoted the shit out of the Cool Keith show, and the management company and the partners that were working on the show, I think, like that. And I just got to shout out Spark Houston for that, and Urban's Media Production. This guy just he's been killing it, man. He's a hustler. He's a great rapper, great artist. He's a good dude, and yeah, man. I was supposed to do Gold Link in September, but that ended up they canceled the show because of his visa. He didn't have like the right visa. It was like a whole world tour that he was doing too, so they postponed it till March. Um, well, we'll see if I'll be on that show. I'm not sure. I have to talk to the management company on that.
Yeah,
But still, super cool opportunities to come. I think we're only going up from here, and I just want to keep working with artists. At least three big shows a year. That's the goal. Now that I'm in DC, I started my own business, and I've been busy doing that shit. So I never want to stop doing music, but um, I do gotta get my money up so I can start paying for all these freaking music videos and merch drops and shit.
yeah.
It's an
No,
expensive hobby.
That's facts, man. Yeah, music is like the most expensive thing like in the world right now too. Like just like as an artist and as like a listener who deeply supports it like in a way too, because I know with just the products and all that too, like even with the cost of living, it is like very expensive like all throughout the world too, like in the Western world and in the Eastern world too. So like going to like a show like even if it's like affordable like in that sense too, like sometimes too, like yeah, you just have to like share shit like it's like your last and all that too, because with shows they do have like an important part in like demonstrating like a community and connection with the art, and just like even like getting to know like various like people who are creating that art and who could like spread it within like a wide like audience like in that sense too. So like that's all I could like say from there and all the know. So
Hell yeah.
as far as like your creative process goes, like what's that like, when making music and like a day in recording music be like?
Um, you know what? Sometimes it's like tough to say when it comes to creativity. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't, and usually like I'll get a bar randomly. It all starts with a bar. Like I'm just either in the shower or like sleeping. It's always at an inconvenient time for some reason, and I have to like go out of my way and like punch in this bar on my phone and like remember it. And then later on, I'll when I have the time, I'll pretty much open it back up and then just continue from that first bar. And I keep that's usually my writing process, and I have just like a shit ton of bars in my library that I keep locked away. And every now and then I'll pull up a beat and I'll find something that works together, or I'll just make something fresh. But it usually starts with production. So either me collaborating with someone and listening to their playlists of beats, or me putting something together on Ableton and rapping over it. But usually there's like a long term vision when it comes to my music. So I have like my year pretty much planned out. It's just a matter of executing. So yeah, but I would say it's like not really organized. It's not as organized as it should be in terms of the process.
Yeah, because like as far as like even like the studios goes through, because there is like the studios that you could like record in like in various like parts of the world or cities like depending on where you're from and all that, and like the home studio too. So like the home studio setup versus like the outside one, like what's that like kind of like nowadays? Because I know you use like Ableton, I know you use like other like programs and sources as well too. So
Yeah, man. So this is pretty much what I do. I end up like it's whatever's convenient and financially feasible at the time. So if I can afford it, I'm at the studio. Shout out to Achieve Dreams downtown. Um, Shout out to Webb. I like the way he runs his business there, and they have really good sound engineers and good equipment and a nice booth, and they're professional with the way they do things. Um, and if I can afford it, I'll usually do my shit there, like in terms of mixing and mastering and recording. But I like to do everything in terms of writing the lyrics, making the beat outside the studio. If it's in my studio or if it's in the producer's studio. Like right now, I was working with Lifted Thought. We're working on a new album, and he's a producer. He has his own studio, so I'm usually going to his studio and we're working together there. And then every now and then we'll send out like a couple of tracks for mixing and mastering, but everything else is in house.
okay, yeah, pretty interesting to hear and all that too. And your stage name, it's actually like very like interesting too, like the generous poet and all that too, because it kind of has a unique tone to how like people like would to tend to like describe like your music and all that too. So how did that like come about?
Sorry, I couldn't hear that last question, man.
Like how did you get your name, the generous poet?
Oh, I love this question,
Like how
bro,
did you
because
get your
it's
name,
literally my
the
name
generous poet?
translated in Arabic. So my first name means generosity, and my last name means the poet. So to be honest, on iTunes Music, my name is Generosity the Poet, and on Spotify, it's The Generous Poet. And I just want to go by generous or generosity the poet, or the generous poet. I don't really care, but I just go by generous pretty much. But the origin is that it's actually translated into my from my Arabic name, which not a lot
Oh,
of people know.
yeah. 'Cause I know with like a lot of like Arabic names too, and like even names like within like Christianity and like Islam too. Like I know there's like a lot of meanings
Yeah.
that are
So
defined as
I
like
know
kings,
with like a lot of like
queens,
Arabic names too, and like even
prophets, merchants. You know, people who have strength, people who have love, diction, everything like that too. Like it's like the same with
names
like
like
I think with
within
like
like Christianity
Roman
and
and
like Islam
Greek
too. Like I
names
know
too, like
there's
with
like a lot of
Hermes, with
meanings that
Hercules, like
Yeah,
are
all that
defined
sort
as
of
like
stuff too. So like
kings,
I
queens,
definitely get it like from there and all. No,
prophets,
yeah,
merchants,
more
you know,
symbolic, more
people
depth.
who have
There's more
strength,
meaning
people
behind the names,
who have
and
love,
it,
diction, everything like that too. Like
yeah,
it's like the same with
I
like
like
I think with like Roman and
when I
Greek
was coming
names
up
too, like
with
with
my artist
Hermes,
name, man,
with
it took me forever. I
Hercules, like
swear to
all
God,
that sort of too. So like
I
I
had
definitely get
everything
it
set
like from
up,
there and
like
all that. No,
the website, the designs, the font, the style, like everything. I had everything locked in. I had like a whole freaking book of lyrics. I had 40 beats. I was ready, dude. I just needed a name. And one day I was thinking, I was like, generous poet. Like that's literally my name in English. So I said,
yeah,
I think that'd be cool to do it. For the longest time, I thought it was cheesy, generous the poet or whatever, or the generous poet. But that's just my name. So I said, fuck it, I'm gonna own it. I'm gonna own up to it.
okay, yeah, that's facts, man.
Yeah.
And even with the music too, because like I've like listened to like the singles and the tracks so far too. Like I know you have like this like one song called like Last Time too, where I think it has like a different like tone. Like there's like a mix between like dark and like symbiotic like sounds and all that too, where you're speaking your thoughts and all that too. You're just like going in and all that too. So speak more on like Last Time and all that. Like tell me more about that process for that single and the inspiration for it.
I love Last Time, man. It's like one of my favorite singles. It's my favorite project that I did so far with Lifted Thought, besides the one that's about to drop in the next couple of months. But Last Time, it's about my ex, obviously. And the first verse I wrote when I was with her, and then the second verse I wrote when I wasn't with her. And it was just like a raw track, you know what I mean? And it's also the first track I'm trying to incorporate my vocals into it. So in the hook, that's my vocals. I'm like singing over the sample. So I've been trying to get into that like Frank Sinatra, Elvis style vibe, but keep that old school boom bap hip hop style. Like merge the two without it sounding weird, because those are two genres that are so opposite.
Yeah. And like I'm just gonna like dive deep on like the Spotify for a bit too. Like, let me just check that on my end. But yeah, like I'm like because I know like you have like a lot of songs
and
that have like a lot of like unique styles and all that too, and like
I'm just gonna
even
like dive
with
deep on
Magnanimity and
like
all that
the
too. Like I
Spotify
know
for a
like
bit
that's
too.
like an
Like,
interesting project.
let me
So
just
like
check
tell
that
me more
on
about
my
that. Like
end.
what inspired you to even work on that and
Like
like
the
the
creative
creative
process,
process?
you know.
Yeah, Magnanimity, man, was like
I think it
I
caught off.
think it
I don't know
caught
what's
off.
going on right
I
like
now.
don't know
me
what's
like
going on right
6 years to work on that project, and I never thought I was gonna release it to the world. And then one day I just said, "Fuck it." It was like a 9 track LP, and then I skimmed the fat and I separated it and decided to drop it as a 6 track EP. And it was like the weight of the soul, in terms of guilt, in terms of giving and taking, in terms of essence. And I thought it was like a perfect name for the album, because the album talks about my life. It talks about um, my dreams and my fears, and it talks about everything in a nutshell. And uh, and it was like a really nice way to start my journey, or my music career, or whatever you want to call it. I just, yeah, it means a lot to me. I really love that album. and I hope to actually I want to what I want to do one day is go back and like remaster it pretty much and fix it up.
Yeah, yeah, that's facts. Like even like looking at like the top 10 right now, because I know like some are like actually like on the project like Sick World. You have like Kick It, Airstrikes, and all that too. So I'm assuming like even like with these like, songs too, like listening to it, like it tells like a deep story within the history of like stuff going on throughout the world too, with like what's going on like in the Middle East and all that too, like what's going on with the idea of like war and just society and all that too, and then
Yeah,
Paralysis, Dragon on the Moon, Reimagined. Like these are like interesting tracks too that have like gained like a lot of like traction. Menace, like number one too. I think number one has like more of a nonchalant like feeling to it, like when I was like listening to it, and then with Paralysis, like that's like I think your biggest song right now. I think at like 9,000 like views like on Spotify, like 9,000 like streams on Spotify too. So like even
yeah.
Paralysis, like what was that like style like?
Oh, the style or like the project Paralysis was sick, man. Working with Lifted is always dope. The guy's just got incredible beat. He's an insane beat maker. And when we were doing that project, that was the first track that we worked on together. And I just love that like grimy, dark underground sound, and he definitely provides that. And those lyrics, kind of that grimy, dark, sleep paralysis under the bed. I personally, yeah, I love that dark shit, and I try to keep a nice balance with everything else. Like I don't want to just be known as like a political rapper or a conscious rapper or dark fucking grimy rapper. Like I wanna do it all. I don't even want to be considered a rapper. I just wanna be an artist. I have a lot of different mediums, design, I sing, I produce. I want to direct, I want to write, like there's a lot of things I want to do. I don't want to put myself in a box. And I think I proved that with like my talents in terms of like drawing and singing. And I'm planning on dropping a single soon, just dissing rap and rappers, bro, because I love the art form itself. I love the culture, but I feel like there's a lot of like misconception with the genre, and a lot of people when they hear rap, they just think of like some some clown, you know what I mean? So we want to correct that and fix that vision for people, and especially now there's so many great artists and so many great projects coming out that there's no excuse for people not to know like the true essence of hip hop.
Yeah, that's facts, man. No, I definitely agree too. And like, I think everyone's like giving their commentary on like rap right now on how there are no like Billboard hits like right now like in the top 40 like within like hip hop and two like with hip hop
Yeah,
rap it's like more like R&B, rock, country, that sort of stuff too. I think that's where the direction's going. But I think with the music right now within rap and hip hop, it's going back into its like roots too with just like lyricism, bars, energies, like diving deep on like subject matter, like stuff like you'd hear like back in like the 1990s and all that too. Like I know like the Clips have done it, Freddie Gibbs and like the Alchemist, like friggin' Slick Rick and all that, Ghostface Killer, like a whole lot like a lot of artists too, like Larry June. Like I can name so many too that are bringing like that essence back, and some that are getting their flowers too, like the Kendricks, the Tylers, the Griseldas, the Ransoms, like even like Max B's like Homa right now too. Even though he's like within an aspect of music that not a lot of people can appreciate too, like it's like
yeah,
more fitting than what we have like right now too. So I definitely like agree on where you're coming from within like the stance of music too. So
yeah, man. There's a comeback. There's a comeback for sure.
yeah, for sure. And I know that you only have the EP right now and the singles, but are you more inclined to drop like an album soon with the amount of stuff that you have?
Yeah, man. I have a couple of singles lined up, ready to go in the chamber, and then I got a 3-track EP with Lifted Thought, and that's called Man versus Machine, and it's a political EP talking about Palestine and the Middle East and all the corruption, and it's not just targeted to that region. It's really all. It's just an album about resistance, and and humanity. And I feel like it's a project I've been working on for a year now, a little bit over a year, but we've pretty much finished it. It's just a matter of polishing it up and getting it out there and getting the artwork settled and all the details, you know. But but yeah, we have some singles, and on another note as well, I'm doing like a side vocal cover um, project, calling it Heart, Guts, and Soul, which is my new art series, my design series, where I have the heart, the gut, and the soul, and I'm doing designs on that and putting it on merch, and it all comes with a theme. So the heart obviously was like last time incorporating vocals and emotion and just being vulnerable on the tracks, and then the soul is being honest, and the guts is being courageous in that sense, or looking into intuition. So for that, I'm dropping like a 7 or 8 track cover of Elvis and Frank Sinatra and Sade and like all these amazing artists that I look up to, and vocally want to challenge myself and try to actually, you know, make my own versions of those tracks, and also kind of showing off that I have that skill as well.
Yeah, that's facts, man. And I mean, you also talked about like Palestine as well too, and like I know right now there is a ceasefire going on with Israel and Palestine right now too, but like as most people might not know, like they had like a war like ever since like the 1900s, 1800s too, like within like the reclaimants of like land
Yeah,
too.
that's facts, man.
There
And
have
I mean,
been
you
like a lot
also
of like
talked about like
casualties like
Palestine
that
as well too,
happened
and like I know right
within like
now
the
there is a
lines too,
ceasefire
like
going
within
on
like many people from
with
Gaza
Israel and
like
Palestine
being
right now too.
separated
But
from their
like,
homes like
as
from their
most
families
people
like
might not
since
know,
time and all
like
that,
they had like a
and
war
a
like
lot
ever
have like
since
migrated to like other
like
parts of the
the
world too, like with
1900s,
Europe, with
1800s too, like within like the
USA,
reclaimants of like land
Canada,
too.
and
There
I
have
think
been like a lot of like
like it didn't
casualties
really,
like that
like really
happened
struck in until like two
within like
years
the
ago
lines too, like
with
within
the
like the
Hamas
people from
situation
Gaza,
too, but
like
it
being
didn't like
separated
really
from their
like dive
homes,
deep
like
like also like
from their
further like into
families
like
like since time and
2021
all
when
that.
there were like
And a
airstrikes
lot
that
have like
actually
migrated
went
to like other
into like
parts of the world
Gaza
too, like
and
with Europe,
people
with
were going into strike and all
USA,
that. So
Canada, and
like what
I
are your
think
thoughts
like
on what's
it didn't
going on
like
in these
really
like
struck in
countries, and
until like 2 years
if it's
ago
something that
with
still like
the
affects
Hamas
you to the
situation
sake, like
too,
if you have
but
like
it
family,
didn't like really like
friends,
dive
like
deep like
people
also like
around
further
that
like
are
into like
being affected by it?
2021 when there were like airstrikes that actually went
Yeah,
into like
it's a
Gaza and
devastating
people
reality
were
that
going into strike and all that. So
unfortunately
like
is
what are
happening
your
right in front of
thoughts
our
on
eyes,
what's going on in these like countries,
and
and
the governments
if
of
it's
the
something that
world
still like
are
affects
doing
you to
it,
the sake like if you have like
and
family, friends, like people
it's it
around
feels
that
a
are being
little like,
affected by it?
you know, powerless, that we can't really do much, but that's not the right mentality, and we have to like work together to pretty much stop this bullshit. It's disgusting, and it's crazy what's happening. Honestly, we can go deep into it. Like I have a lot of Palestinian friends, and I'm Lebanese, so I see it in my family and how it affects my day to day life. And obviously, I'm privileged and living out here in BC, far away from the situation. But we have family there, and they have, um, you know, they have stories and things that they tell us, and it's clear that it's a reality that obviously a lot of people here don't know about. So through the music, I really wish to make people aware, and the people that are already aware, make them angry, because you shouldn't just be content with the situation and the reality that's happening in front of us. But my thoughts on the whole matter is just the fact that you have a fake country backed up by all these uh, colonialistic countries, and they're just funding a massive genocide and conquer of land, and they're just overtaking resources and pillaging people as they go. It's just uh, like a genocide 101. So we don't have to get into it, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, how do you feel about the ceasefire that they've planned right now? Like, and the people like being like sent back to their like home to their countries and all that too, with the Israeli like hostages too, and like the people like on the like Palestinian end. Like, do you think like that was
I
something that
think
was?
the ceasefire, I think, is bullshit, because they just talk. How many times have they said there's a ceasefire, and there's just mass killings consistently happening? And so it's all just a bunch of bullshit. I don't believe anything the media has to say. I believe what I see with my eyes and what people tell me, and people that I know, and people that live in that situation, and people that have families, and people that have their mom and dad and their grandpa and their cousins that are locked up in a church because everything else is getting bombed and the church is still getting bombed, and they don't have food, they don't have medicine, like dire situations that and then they're saying that there's a ceasefire. There's no ceasefire, you know, like they're giving the people barely anything when it comes to any kind of compromise. And in terms of giving back the hostages, Hamas gave all the hostages back and they looked fucking healthy and fed. And then what Israel did is they dropped off a bunch of truckloads of corpses that were full of cotton because they stole all their organs. Like, you can't compare anything they've ever done since the beginning. And if you want to go back even before Palestine, you can go and look up all the history of that type of people and see what they've done to society. We don't have to get into it right now. I'm not trying to get on this shit on Twitch, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean too. Like to dive deep on the Canadian like music scene too. Like you were like in Ontario for a bit too, in Toronto, and like in Montreal, and now in BC and all that too. So comparing the like all three scenes like together with Toronto, Montreal, and BC, like what's like that kind of like from like what you've like noticed and all that.
Like in terms of music or lifestyle or both.
Just within like the music scenes like around there too, because like I
The
think you might
music
have had
scene.
like
I haven't really experienced BC. I just did that show in Hollywood Theater downtown Vancouver with Blue in Exile. But besides that, what I know a couple of people that I met through that show, and they're rappers from BC, and they are really talented. And from what I hear, there's a crazy underground scene here, and I'm looking to tap into it soon and start hosting my own shows here in Vancouver and putting my name out there. Um, and Toronto and Montreal, like everything's a different scene. Montreal's a lot more smaller, student oriented, um, more focused on the art and the expression, I think, in my opinion at least. And then Toronto was more like competitive, more clout based. Like there was a lot of like, you know, popularity contests, and the art is important there, of course, as well. It just, I guess I'm just saying there's a lot more competition and it's a lot more cutthroat in Toronto. But that's kind of what I loved about it, and it gave me the platforms that I needed to pretty much get where I am today.
yeah, for
So
sure.
Vancouver is still like, yes, Vancouver is still unknown. You know,
Yeah, no, that's
still got to hit
facts.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely know what you mean, and being like in Toronto for a bit too, like you've connected with people like doesn't matter, it's okay and all that. Artists like Don Enzo, like Spark Houston, and all that too, TJM and all that too. So how was it like,
Yeah.
connecting with these people, like working on music too, and like seeing like the community like in Toronto and all that.
Oh man, every name you just mentioned, they're all like super talented, hardworking people. Much respect to them, man. Like for me, like anyone can bust a rhyme, but if you're sitting there and you're focused on the craft and you're doing music videos and you're dropping singles and you're working with people and you're collaborating and you're doing shows, I got nothing but respect for that, man. Because that's a hustle, and it's you do it for the love of the sport because you know there's not a lot of money in that shit, so it's all about consistency and working with those people. Honestly, man, I've been blessed to work with them. I've been grateful to work with them, and I hope to work with them again in the future. And yeah, man, good people all around.
That's facts, man. And even with the Canadian like music scene too, like I know like you've already explained it like within the individual scenes too, but as a whole, like how do you feel about it like right now too, like just like on the mainstream and the indie level and all that?
I didn't catch the first part of the question, man. I'm sorry.
Like how do you feel about the Canadian music scene like totally, like in a way?
The Canadian what?
the Canadian music scene, like within like
Oh,
Canada, like yeah,
oh, as a whole,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty cool, man. Like, I'm honestly, so I'm more like underground and work with independent artists. So I'm not really aware of like how the whole music scene is in Canada. But from what I would say in my perspective and my experience is that like people support each other, man. People are good to each other. Like skill recognize skill, you know. So when you see somebody hustling, uh, there's respect there and there's support there. So like I'll be coming to your shows, you come to my shows, like pretty much talent, like working with talent, making sure that you're surrounded by good people, and I felt like Canada had that. So yeah.
All right, that's facts, man. Do you ever feel like there should be some changes on the direction of where the scene should go to?
Like with the direction of the scene where it should go, if I had a input,
Yeah,
I would say like support independent artists more. Fuck all that Spotify shit, paying artists like a fraction of a cent for a listen. People need to get what they deserve. Like they put a lot of work into it, man. It's a craft, it's a product, it's a commodity. So I mean, it's not just that. Obviously, I'm not just trying to put it in like a materialistic and shallow box, but people need to get paid, man. People need to get paid for the work they put in, and I feel like all these huge ass corporations are just taking advantage of of artists and people that just want to make this an actual life, like an actual career for themselves, and they can't really do that in today's world. So
yeah.
yeah, that's the only direction I'd like to see it go, pretty much.
No,
No,
that's
that's
facts, man.
facts,
I
man. I
think
think
like
like I
like
could definitely like agree like on more of a mainstream level too, like not just only within Canada but like all around the world too. Because I know with the Western world, you do see it where like a lot of artists are dealing with that whole issue with Spotify, with streaming platforms, with access to live shows, performing and all that too. Like the idea of like pay to play, and like they're trying to like avoid that in any case like necessary too, because you see it where it kind of becomes like predatory rather than wholesome, like in a way to like with the idea of like connection all the rest. So
Yeah, it's just I just really hope it goes in the right direction, pretty much.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's facts, man. uh I wanted to ask, like, when are we getting like the cool key feature or the blue and exile feature too? Like, have you like connected with them on getting a feature someday from them?
Man, honestly, it's too early to say because I haven't even reached out. I mean, I talked to Blue, I kind of like mentioned it a little bit, but like I have so much shit that I need to focus on once I get my studio because I'm building a studio here in BC. So once I get that set up and ready to go, I feel like I'll be knocking out more tracks and start working with more people and really getting into features and collaborations with other people. I have I don't really, I haven't told this to a lot of people, but I have a couple of camouflage monk beats that I'm sitting on, and I'm planning on dropping an album next year or at least in the summer, um, and we'll see what we can do with that album. I'm thinking of getting some people from Baker's Club if they're open to it, and making like a fat underground album, pretty much.
Okay, underpee, man. And is that like more of the plans that you have like for this year in terms of any other music and creative projects and so forth too, or is that more stored in for like 2026 now that
Yeah, that's like 2026. For now, I think there's only like a month left and in 2025, and I think I'm just gonna drop a single, and because no one can compete with Christmas music, right? So no one drops music in December usually, but I think January is when I'll drop the album, um, and then go to Toronto, do like an album release party, and sell some merch and see some people, have a good time, party it up, and then drop the next project probably sometime in July or September.
Okay.
around that time.
Okay, say no more, man. I want to like ask, like before you go and all that too, because I know like there might be like people watching, people like tapping into. Like, do you have any like final words you'd like to say for any person or any creative like pursuing their dreams or that want to be like in your footsteps and all that?
Honestly, man, I would just say like be yourself and never forget, never give up. Be yourself
Okay.
and never give up, man.
Yeah.
That's it. Because yeah, just believe in yourself and just keep doing it, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you enjoy it, then don't stop. You know.
Yeah. Like say no more, man. Generous poet, like or generous, it's like dope having you on, man. Like for people checking in, like you can follow the generous
Uh,
poet like on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. Definitely check out his content on all platforms and all that too. Like I know that we're still going like live right now, but like the interview portion of this will be released on my YouTube channel. Like definitely stay tuned on that. Definitely check that in and all that. But yeah, man, like definitely check him out. Check out his like stuff on Spotify and all that too. Check out the EP Magnanimity and all that too, like on all platforms. Like very
also
dope
check
music.
out the
But
merch. Just drop the merch.
okay, that's fine. I'm not gonna front. Like the
Love the
merch is like
design. It is
hey,
embroidered. We're doing some custom stuff too.
okay, okay, that's dope to hear. Do you
Oh
know
yeah.
when that's gonna like drop soon and all that?
It's on the website, baby. Check me out. TheGenerousPoet.com/shop. We got t-shirts, hoodies. We're gonna be dropping like I don't know. I'm gonna be dropping some shit as well, shorts and hats and all that kind of stuff. You know.
Okay, man. Well, generous poet, like it was dope having you on too. I'm gonna continue on with the stream and all that too. Like, definitely gonna keep it going for like all the viewers and all that. But I hope you have a great
You know.
night. I hope you're doing well in like BC and all that too. And we'll definitely catch up when you're in Toronto.
Yeah, man. Yashu, thank you again, bro. And we'll definitely link up, have a beer or smoke a joint or something, hang out. Appreciate you for having me on, bro. And looking forward to the next one.
All right, 100p, man. Yeah, take care, man.
Take it easy. Peace.